The heat of the sun, the power of the waves of the sea, the strength of the wind, all these elements are being studied as potential alternative energy sources. In Malta in the summer of 2013, the buzzword was energy. The not-for-profit organization, MIEMA, the Malta Intelligent Energy Management Agency, joined another 8 partners from the EU on a MED program called Enerscapes. MIEMA is undertaking a study of the impact on landscape, environment, and ecosystems caused by the installation of alternative energy machinery in rural and urban areas. MIEMA organized an international conference with its partners to share and exchange studies conducted by all Enerscapes partners.
Thanks in particular to the hosting partner, MIEMA agency, and special greetings to the students coming today. It's not normal to count on the presence of students in these kind of meetings, and hopefully you will be directly engaged in activities related to the MED program area, probably in energy aspects. So welcome. The MED program is a new transnational cooperation program. It engages 14 countries. Right now there are 13 transnational cooperation programs operating in Europe. About us, about the MED program, some of the figures, about 1,400 partners participating directly in our projects. And that is an amount of 7,500 structures directly involved.
The Maltese NGO MIEMA has been conducting studies on the Maltese landscape, and the options, finally, favor the use of photovoltaic panels to generate alternative energy.
Taking stock of the local situation in the energy field, after 5 years of activities of the Malta Intelligent Energy Management Agency, MIEMA, which I represent, we can safely say that the establishment of the agency was an effective and timely contribution to the island's efforts to a more sustainable energy future. Thanks to its participation in projects such as this one, MIEMA has shared experiences with its partners, municipalities and energy agencies from around the Mediterranean, and learned significantly in the process. In turn, this experience was shared with the Maltese policymakers and local councils in their ongoing strategies to tackle vital energy matters. Malta's heavy dependence on fossil fuels, its monopolistic distribution network, and vulnerable, isolated state, both geographically and infrastructurally, our isolated state renders more difficult the country's energy situation. Furthermore, its small territorial size and high population density increase the challenge to exploit renewable sources like wind and solar energy, of which there is an abundant supply. The agency has therefore campaigned to reduce energy demand, raising public awareness on the need for energy conservation and efficiency measures while promoting renewables. And this project has focused specifically on how to integrate renewables, the installations of renewables, within the landscape. In our case, the landscape, because of the even the cultural heritage, not just the rural environment that we have, it is particularly important to come up with guidelines which can take into account our local situation and provide the necessary support and guidance needed by the policymakers specifically on this issue. We have signed the Landscape Convention, but there were no guidelines on how these PVs, the solar farms that we want to set up, can be integrated in the landscape. And this project has certainly contributed through the experience shared with all the partners, the participation process that we conducted locally, and the research carried out, the action plan, the scenarios we examined, to come up with these guidelines which can help the policymakers when taking the decisions on the best way to go about the installations of these renewable energy sources in our context. Not simply the past work, but the dissemination of the results. How are we going to now build on what we have studied and researched and on the deliverables that we have produced? How are we going to disseminate the results and the possibilities for capitalization, which Javier has already discussed.
IEMA will carry on making its studies with the collaboration of local councils, multi-government entities and private enterprise to complete a report as an advisory document for the formulation of national policy on the supply of alternative energy. Studies on the zero option, the landscape option, the balanced landscape option, the balanced RES option, the RES option.
And the main aim is to monitor the infrastructure and capacity of the Maltese Islands for air, water, noise and radiation. And then there's soil, but chemicals in soil. Again, the LiDAR technology, another type of LiDAR technology called bathymetric LiDAR. We scanned the waters up to minus 15 meters. You take the extreme points and create what we call the baseline coast.
To help in these studies, MEPA, the Malta Environment Planning Authority, is using Terra Imaging, a system that gives you a vision which brings geospatial and 3D simulation technology to plot contour maps and simulation of urban and rural areas. This innovative geospatial mapping system has given us an insight on the potential of the installation of PV systems without damaging the urban and rural landscapes.
And in my opinion, the future grants on photovoltaics should no longer be on pure photovoltaics, but should also provide mandatory. If you want to take the grant of photovoltaics, you have to take another grant, which I can offer you as a government. You can choose either a solar heater or insulation of your rooftop or insulation or double glazing or shading. I will give you grants, but don't take photovoltaics on its own, because photovoltaic on its own will not solve our energy problem.
These last few years I've been working on a concept which I will present to you here, which basically concentrates on how we harvest the energy. Previous speakers mentioned the problems of what to do with this energy, problems that arise because of this energy, and I present here also solutions, because this is at the end the most important thing. And at the end, there is no one simple solution. You have to design a solution depending on the requirements. One of the solutions is decentralization. We are used to depend on a power station. But in my concept here, which I will present, I'm going to present a scenario where I will not become dependent on politicians, I will not become dependent on power stations, I'm my own consumer and supplier. And that has shown to be the ideal scenario, because at the end you need power lines, you need cables, and the complete mix in your bill is composed of all this. To do all this, we need to coordinate, we need to make regulations, and we need to have one scope, okay? to reduce the CO2 from this nice earth, or whatever you call it, we are on it, and important is we leave something to our next generation. That is the most important. Okay? Thank you very much.
The other partners of Miema include Lazio region from Italy, the province of Vercelli from Italy, the region of Thessaly from Greece, Andalusia from Spain, the University of Maribor from Slovenia, the energy agencies both of Rhône-Alpes, France and Cyprus.
The first area of intervention is the improvement of territorial governance in the field of renewable energy source planning.
Our project area is the small community of Faggiana, which is located 60 kilometers west of Larnaca. It's a small community with population that reach up to 339 inhabitants. So it's obvious that such large-scale plant installations, especially in small areas like Cyprus, need a good methodology.
The case study area in Greece was the municipality of Almiros, which is located in central Greece, as you see. It has a surface of 900 square kilometers. The population is about 21,000 inhabitants. It's a safe mountainous, half plain area, but with significant a lot of protection zones like Natura 2000, Corinne, wildlife shelters, etc. And finally, a very high potential of integration of action plan into the operational and spatial plan of the municipality of Almiros and the region of Thessaly.
A few words about Vercelli. Vercelli is in Italy, in Piedmont region, between Turin and Milan. Regarding EU policies, promise of Vercelli will be highly affected by changes in common agricultural policy for the period 2014-2020.
We are at the south of Spain. We live in a region with the same size like a small or medium state of European, like Portugal or Ireland, more or less. And we stay in front of Morocco, of course, and we share with Morocco the same environment.
Rhône-Alpes region is located in the southeast part of France. We have no access to the Mediterranean Sea, but we are part of the MET program anyway. In the Enerscapes project, we have implemented the activities in 4 pilot areas. Regarding capitalization, so for us it is a major objective because we precisely chose to work on several pilot areas to have more feedback and to cross the different methodologies to get more capitalization for future projects. So now, thanks to the territorial analysis, we have a clear overview of the methodology that can be used on a territory to assess the impacts that photovoltaic plants can generate on the landscape. And this methodology will both serve for the existing pilot areas for future projects and for other territories, because now we're starting to disseminate this methodology on other territories.
The comparative studies have shown in practice that mortar presents a number of advantages which have been somewhat ignored up to now. These consist in a favorable building typology characterized by flat roofs, allowing for the best integration of installations, the presence of large roofs in private or public buildings suitable for the installation of PV plants, opportunities due to the presence of asbestos cement roofs, which, being a hazard to public health, can be replaced with new roofs with integrated PV systems. Opportunities due to the presence of big shipbuilding areas occupied by metal sheds covered with metal roofs, often deteriorating and contrasting with the historic context of Valletta. Most of these sheds or simple coverings represent a strong energy potential. In the case when they are converted into integrated PV roofs, which would preserve the existing volumes and building configurations. There is also the possibility to introduce schemes for private investors, facilitating the rental of roofs for the installations of PVCs. The action plan developed through the Project for Malta envisages a participative approach built together with experts in the field and private citizens.